The last couple of weeks have been tough. My mother passed away, and I had the honor of giving my mother's eulogy at her funeral. And I prepared for this by thinking about the impact that Mom made on me, and I had to ask myself what I learned from my mother. It forced me to think through what I want to leave to my children and my grandchildren. What do I want to leave as a legacy? And this topic is important to all of us. What do you want your kids to learn from you? And that's a tough question to ask. When I speak with couples that are struggling with their relationship, this is sometimes in the back of their mind. They care for their kids and they don't want to hurt them. So let's face it, being concerned about your children can be highly motivating. Who wants to hurt their kids? And this can be a motivation to work on your marriage relationship. There is no question that divorce hurts children. Judith Wallerstein researched the effects of divorce through a study that followed children of divorced parents for 25 years. And she found several things about the children. First, they reached a conclusion that personal relationships are unreliable. And this thought process continues into their adulthood. And even after 25 years, feelings of loneliness, bewilderment, anger continue, and it creates a trigger that makes it easy to withdraw from your spouse. And they felt challenged to develop relationships. The children were less likely to attend college, are less likely to marry, and are more likely to divorce. I don't want to take a chance that I'm passing on these harmful patterns to my children. So the question comes up, should couples stay in an unhappy marriage for the sake of the kids? And this is a very common question, but it's the wrong question. It makes the assumption that your marriage will stay unhappy. And I understand that nobody wants to think about staying in an unhappy place. And it's very easy to lose hope that anything can change. And I see that couples decide to stay in their marriage, but sometimes they just tough it out and they live with the status quo and they don't take practical steps. So I've said something like, I don't want you to stay together for your kids. I want you to have a fantastic relationship. That would be a better example to your children. And the good news is that couples can improve their relationship. There are very practical steps that people can take that will improve their connection. So I ask, for the sake of your kids, would you be willing to work on improving your marriage? So how do we use this idea for motivation? And this is where it gets tricky. Yes, couples don't want to hurt their children, yet it wouldn't help for me to say, if you loved your kids, you'd work on your marriage. That just sounds judgmental. It is judgmental. And I have found the most effective way is to be specific. So would you be willing to work on criticizing less or understanding more, maybe spending more time together, offering more compliments and affirmations or other healthy habits? So here's some consequence questions that I have asked. If you keep it the status quo, will your relationship improve or will it get worse? Then follow that up with what will be the impact to your kids? Do your kids notice your lack of connection? Has it influenced them? What would you like your kids to see in your relationship? It sounds like you and your partner criticize each other or any other hurtful behavior that we identify. And if you did that less, would your kids notice? Would your kids notice if you worked on understanding each other? My wife and I have heard from many couples that have improved their marriage, the impact it has had on their children. We've had more than one couple tell us that when their relationship improved, their kids express that they have noticed the better communication and they felt more secure. What a great legacy to leave your kids. Work on the practical steps that will improve your relationship. So here's my tips for marriage mentors. Be careful not to be judgmental. Be careful not to use the kids' idea as a stick. It's easy to guilt people into something, and I would rather that they're motivated by hope of improvement over guilt. 2, ask consequence questions. Ask questions that will help the couple to come to their own conclusions. And 3, remember, kids are only one of the motivations. There's lots of reasons to improve your connections, and children are just one. So those tips again, be careful not to be judgmental, ask consequence questions, and remember, kids are only one of the motivations that you can explore with couples.